The silent resistance. The stars burned cold against the viewport as Commander Ilara Thorne watched Earth shrink behind them. 7 years of blockade had turned her homeworld into a shadow of itself. Oceans dulled by chemical runoff, atmosphere thinned by desperate terraforming attempts, cities dimmed to conserve power. The Zthian Accord had succeeded where direct war might have failed. Slow strangulation. All systems optimal. Commander, Lieutenant Riza reported from the navigation console. Stealth protocols engage. We're off their sensors. Ilara nodded, her face impassive despite the weight settling on her shoulders. The Defiance represented humanity's last desperate gambit, a ship built in secret beneath the ice sheets of Antarctica, using technology reverse-engineered from salvaged alien craft. Its creation had cost thousands of lives, drained resources from already starving communities, and violated every treaty Earth had signed upon first contact. "Status of the Novus Protocol?" she asked. Riza's eyes flickered to the sealed compartment at the center of the bridge. "Stable. Energy signature contained." 15 years ago, humanity had reached for the stars with hope and wonder. The galaxy that greeted them wore a smiling mask. The Zthian Accord, a coalition of 17 advanced species, had welcomed Earth with open arms, offering technology, trade routes, and protection. For 3 glorious years, humanity flourished in this new cosmic community. Then came the Quarantine Declaration. Human biology exhibits dangerously unpredictable evolutionary patterns, the Accord announced. For the safety of all galactic citizens, Earth must be isolated until proper genetic stabilization can be implemented. No one on Earth understood until Professor Arjun Shah discovered the truth hidden in ancient alien texts recovered from an abandoned Zthian outpost. Texts that spoke of a prophecy dating back millennia. From the third stone of a yellow star will rise the unbound, whose minds evolve beyond constraint. They shall break the chains of form, challenge the order of stars, and either lift all souls to transcendence or cast all into void. They're afraid of what we might become, Shah had told the Emergency Council. Not what we are, what we could be. The Novus Protocol had been his answer. A technological leap so profound it bordered on the metaphysical. The ultimate proof that the prophecy was right to fear humanity's potential. Approaching Procyon system, Riza announced. ETA to Zthian outpost. 17 minutes. Ilara's gaze swept over her bridge crew. 15 men and women representing Earth's last hope. They weren't soldiers by training. Before the blockade, Riza had been a quantum physicist, Chief Engineer Okafor, a deep-sea geothermal specialist, Tactical Officer Lai, a professional gamer. Yet here they were, about to strike against one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. "Begin approach sequence," Ilara ordered. "Remind everyone, we're not here for vengeance. We're here to be seen." The Zthian outpost at Procyon was a marvel of alien engineering, a spiral structure of crystalline materials that harvested energy directly from the binary star system. Nearly 1,000 Zthian personnel maintained it, coordinating the blockade of 3 quarantine worlds, Earth among them. None of them expected an attack. Why would they? Earth had no ships capable of interstellar travel, or so they believed. The Defiance slipped through their outer detection grid like a ghost, its hull absorbing sensor suites rather than reflecting them. By the time proximity alarms sounded, they were already inside the defensive perimeter. Their scrambling response vessels, Lai reported, eyes fixed on tactical displays. 5 interceptors, launching now. Ilara leaned forward. Deploy countermeasures. No direct hits, remember the mission. The Defiance danced between Zthian energy beams, its movements impossibly precise. Each near miss was calculated, each evasive maneuver a demonstration. They weren't just surviving the attack. They were performing. "We have their full attention," Lai confirmed. "Their command center is broadcasting emergency signals across 3 sectors." Ilara nodded. "Perfect. Okafor, prepare the Novus Protocol. Target, their communication array." The engineer hesitated, hands hovering over the controls. "Commander, we've never tested it at this scale. The cascading effects cold. Could save our world." Ilara finished. "Do it." At the center of the bridge, the sealed compartment opened, revealing a device no larger than a human heart. It pulsed with inner light, neither mechanical nor biological, but something in between. Millions of quantum particles suspended in perfect resonance, each one containing a fragment of human consciousness freely given by the volunteers who had helped create it. Okafor's fingers danced across the interface. Novus protocol engaging in 3, 2, 1. A single beam of impossibly focused light shot from the Defiance, striking the Zthian communication array. For a moment, nothing happened. Then reality itself seemed to shudder. The array didn't explode or disintegrate. Instead, it transformed, its crystalline structure rearranging into new configurations, alien technology rewriting itself according to human imagination. Within seconds, it had become something else entirely, a beacon, broadcasting on all frequencies, in all languages. "We are humanity. We will no longer be chained. We will no longer be feared. We come not as conquerors, but as the prophesied unbound. See us, know us, and understand that your prophecies were right to tremble." Across the station, systems began to change. Defensive shields reconfiguring into atmospheric generators, weapon platforms folding into hydroponics bays. The Zthian personnel stood frozen, watching their reality reshape itself around them. "Protocol complete," Okafor whispered, awe in his voice. It worked. It actually worked. On the view screen, the 5 interceptors hung motionless in space, their pilots seemingly mesmerized by what they were witnessing. "Let's go home," Ilara said quietly. "We've delivered our message." As the Defiance turned away from Procyon, leaving behind a transformed outpost and stunned Zthians, emergency sessions convened across the galaxy. In the grand chambers of the Zthian High Council, ancient beings trembled as they reviewed the footage. "The prophecy," whispered High Elder Zthian, his translucent skin paling further. "After all these eons of vigilance, the unbound have arrived." Counselor Thrayx, her compound eyes reflecting the holographic replay of the Procyon incident, clicked her mandibles nervously. "We must strengthen the quarantine. Deploy the entire fleet if necessary." "It's too late," said Zthian. "Did you not see what they did? They didn't destroy the outpost. They changed it. With a thought. A human thought, imposed upon our most advanced technology." "Then what do we do?" asked another counselor. Zthian's gaze drifted to the ancient scroll displayed in a stasis field at the center of the chamber, the original prophecy, written 10,000 years before by the now extinct precursors. "We prepare," he said simply, "for either transcendence or void." Back on Earth, as the Defiance slipped through the blockade using the same stealth technology that had gotten them out, Ilara Thorne stood before the Emergency Council, delivering her report. "Procyon was just the beginning," she told them. "The Zthians now know what we're capable of. They'll be afraid, more afraid than before. But fear can lead to desperate actions, or to negotiation," countered Counselor Santiago. "Perhaps now they'll lift the blockade, recognize us as equals." Ilara shook her head. "They won't recognize us as equals, Counselor. That's not why they're afraid. They're afraid because the prophecy told them we might become their superiors." She looked around the room, meeting each council member's gaze, and after what we demonstrated at Procyon, they might be right. As the council debated humanity's next steps, Ilara stared out the window at the night sky above the underground facility. Somewhere out there, the stars were burning with new messages, urgent communications between frightened worlds discussing the humans who had broken their chains. She thought of the transformed outpost, of the technology they had reshaped with human thought alone. The Novus Protocol wasn't just a weapon, it was proof of what humanity could become. The prophecy had called them the Unbound. Perhaps it was time to live up to the name. The reckoning dawned. 3 months after Procyon, the galaxy held its breath. The Zthian Accord had withdrawn its blockade ships from Earth orbit, not in surrender, but in strategic retreat. Massive battle fleets now positioned themselves at key junction points throughout nearby systems, creating a wider, stronger cordon around human space. On Earth, cities blazed with light again as resources previously diverted to survival flowed back into industry and innovation. The success at Procyon had changed more than just strategic positions. It had transformed humanity's spirit. After 7 years of slowly suffocating under alien embargo, people walked with their heads high again, their eyes turned skyward not in supplication but in determination. Commander Ilara Thorne stood in the newly constructed Chamber of Ascension, watching technicians calibrate the massive Novus array, an expanded version of the protocol that had reshaped the Zthian outpost. What had begun as a desperate weapon had evolved into something more profound, a tool for human potential. The latest simulation results are promising, Professor Shaw said, joining her at the observation window. Age and hardship had bent his frame, but his eyes burned with the same intensity that had driven him to discover the prophecy years ago. We've achieved a 78% synchronization rate across volunteer consciousnesses. Not enough, Ilara replied. We need at least 90% before we attempt the next phase. Shaw smiled faintly. Always the perfectionist, Commander. But consider this. Each percentage point represents millions of human minds linking together in ways never before achieved by any species in recorded galactic history. Even at 78%, we're already proving the prophecy right. She turned to face him fully. And that's exactly why we can't afford mistakes. The Zthians are watching our every move. At the first sign of instability, a young lieutenant burst into the room, face flushed with urgency. Commander, Professor, we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council itself. The Galactic Council, the ruling body that governed even the Zthian Accord, had remained silent throughout humanity's struggles, their ancient members watching from afar as Earth suffocated under blockade. Their sudden interest could mean nothing good. In the communication center, the Council's message played on a holographic display. A being of seemingly pure energy, contained within a crystalline shell, spoke in perfectly modulated English. I am Elder Exan Thaler of the Galactic Council. In light of recent developments, we request the presence of Earth's leadership at Nexus Station for direct dialogue. This is not a demand, but an invitation. The prophecy of the unbound has been misinterpreted for too long. It is time for truth. The message ended, leaving stunned silence in its wake. It's a trap, General Rousseau declared, voicing what many thought. They lure our leaders away, then strike while we're vulnerable. Perhaps, Ilara conceded, but it's also the first recognition we've received from the highest authority in the galaxy. We can't ignore it. The debate raged for days. In the end, a compromise was reached. Ilara would lead a small delegation to Nexus Station, while Earth's formal leadership remained behind. If the meeting was genuine, Ilara had the authority to negotiate. If not, her loss would not cripple humanity's command structure. The journey to Nexus Station took 2 weeks aboard the Defiance, even with its advanced propulsion systems. As they traveled, Ilara spent hours studying the complete prophecy text that Shaw had recovered, not just the fragment about the unbound, but the entire document, with its cryptic references to the Great Cycle and the choice that ends all choices. There's something we're still missing, she told Riza as they approached Nexus Station, a massive artificial world at the galaxy's core where the Galactic Council had governed for millennia. Why would an advanced civilization fear human potential so much they'd risk war to contain us? Riza had no answer, but Ilara suspected they would find out soon enough. Nexus Station defied human comprehension, a structure larger than Earth's moon, yet delicate in appearance, like a snowflake magnified to impossible scale. The Defiance docked in a bay that adjusted its environment to Earth standard as they arrived, a courtesy that did little to ease the delegation's tension. They were escorted by silent, hovering drones to the council chamber, a vast space that seemed to exist partially in other dimensions, its walls sometimes solid, sometimes transparent, revealing glimpses of stars and cosmic phenomena that shouldn't be visible from their location. 7 beings awaited them, each representing one of the galaxy's eldest species. Elder Xanthiler floated at the center, crystalline shell glimmering with inner light. Commander Thorn, the Elder's voice resonated directly in their minds. "Thank you for coming. We have much to discuss." Ilara stepped forward, acutely aware of how small humans must seem to these ancient entities. "We're here to understand why your council permitted the blockade of Earth, a violation of the very principles you claim to uphold." A justifiable question. Hexine, Kaller's shell pulsed. "The answer begins 10 million years ago, when my own species was young. We discovered, as many do, that consciousness is not merely a product of biology, but a force that shapes reality itself. Collective consciousness, properly aligned, can rewrite the fundamental laws that govern existence." Images appeared in the air around them, civilizations rising, achieving technological marvels, then either ascending to forms of pure energy or collapsing into chaos. "The prophecy you discovered is not a prediction," another council member explained, this one resembling a cloud of metallic dust held in humanoid shape. "It is a pattern, repeated countless times across cosmic history. When a species reaches the threshold of collective consciousness manipulation, what you call the Novus Protocol, they face a choice: ascension or annihilation. And you quarantined us because," Ilara prompted. "Because humans are different," Xanthiler said simply. "Your minds evolved along unique pathways, where other species require millennia of guided development to safely approach the threshold. You have done it in a mere 15,000 years since achieving sentience. Your capacity for both creation and destruction exceeds anything we have observed. So you feared us," Ilara concluded. "We respected you," corrected the Elder. "The blockade was never meant to be permanent, only to slow your development until proper guidance could be established." The Zthians overstepped their mandate. Understanding dawned on Ilara. They weren't following your orders. The Zthian Accord has its own interpretation of the prophecy. They believe the cycle must end, that allowing another species to ascend risks the stability of reality itself. They sought not to guide you, but to ensure you never reach your potential. Anger flashed through Ilara, white-hot. 7 years of suffering, millions dead from resource shortages, all because they decided humanity shouldn't evolve. "Yes," Xanthiler acknowledged simply. "And now you must decide what happens next. Vengeance against the Zthians, or something greater." The council chambers fell silent as Ilara absorbed this revelation. Everything, the blockade, the prophecy, the Novus Protocol, converged to this moment of choice. "Show us," she finally said. "Show us what ascension truly means." What followed transcended language or conventional understanding. The council members joined their consciousnesses, creating a gestalt entity that opened a window not to another place but to another state of being. Through it, Ilara glimpsed what humanity might become, a collective intelligence spanning galaxies, existing simultaneously across multiple dimensions, creating and exploring realities beyond physical limitation. When the vision faded, tears streaked Ilara's face. "That's what they wanted to deny us. That is what they feared you might achieve before they did," Xanthiler corrected. "The Zthian leadership believes ascension should be hierarchical, elder species first, guiding the younger ones over eons. Your potential threatens that order." Ilara's decision crystallized with perfect clarity. "We'll return to Earth. We'll perfect the Novus Protocol. But not for vengeance, for transcendence. And we'll offer it to everyone, even the Zthians." The journey back to Earth passed in contemplative silence. Ilara spent the time drafting what would become known as the Aurora Declaration, humanity's formal response to both the Galactic Council and the Zthian Accord. It outlined a vision not of conquest or retribution, but of shared evolution and open access to the Novus Protocol for all species. They were 3 days from Earth when the alert came. A massive Zthian fleet had mobilized toward Sol system, led by the dreadnought Eternal Vigilance, a planet killer capable of reducing Earth to molten slag. "They must have monitored our meeting with the Council," Reza said grimly. "They're making their move before we can return." Ilara's hands tightened on the command chair. "Maximum speed. And prepare the Novus Protocol. Full power." The Defiance raced ahead, pushing its engines beyond safety parameters, arriving just as the Zthian fleet emerged from hyperspace on the system's edge. Earth's defensive platforms, pitiful compared to the armada they faced, stood ready for a battle they couldn't win. "Open a channel to the Eternal Vigilance," Ilara commanded. The face that appeared on the viewscreen belonged to High Elder Xovak himself, his translucent features set in grim determination. "Commander Thorn, you're too late. The cycle ends today." "You don't understand what you're doing," Ilara replied. "The Council has shared the truth with us. Ascension isn't a threat. It's a gift meant for all sentient life." "Pretty lies," Xovak snarled. "Each ascension weakens the fabric of reality. Each transcended species brings the ultimate collapse closer. We have guarded this galaxy for 50,000 years. We will not let humans unravel everything." "Then you leave us no choice." Ilara nodded to Okafor, who activated the Novus Protocol. But this time was different. Instead of targeting the Zthian fleet, the energy beam struck Earth itself, or rather, the Novus array that Professor Shah and his team had been perfecting. Across Earth, volunteers connected to the array felt their consciousnesses expand and merge, not erased, but unified while maintaining individuality. The phenomenon spread, not just to those physically connected to the technology, but to all humanity. Billions of minds linking in a great web of shared thought and purpose. On the bridge of the Defiance, Ilara gasped as her own consciousness joined the collective, her understanding expanding exponentially as she accessed the knowledge and perspective of her entire species. In that moment of transcendence, humanity acted as one. The Zthian weapons simply deactivated. Their ships hung powerless in space, crews frozen in amazement as reality itself bent to human will. Xovak's face on the viewscreen showed raw terror. "What have you done?" "We've proven the prophecy right," Ilara answered, her voice somehow both her own and something greater. "We are the unbound, but not to destroy, to elevate." With a thought, humanity extended the Novus effect to the Zthian fleet itself, not as attackers, but as an invitation. One by one, Zthian minds joined the expanding consciousness network, their fear dissolving as they experienced firsthand what ascension truly meant. High Elder Xovak was the last to join, his resistance finally crumbling as understanding dawned. "We were wrong," he whispered, "for 50,000 years. Wrong." The wave of consciousness continued outward, touching world after world, species after species. Not forced upon them, but offered freely. Many accepted immediately, others watched and waited, but the blockades and barriers fell away as the old order collapsed under the weight of new possibility. 1 year later, Ilara Thorn stood on the observation deck of what had once been Nexus Station, now transformed into the Ascension Nexus, a place where any sentient being could come to join the expanding network of shared consciousness. She remained individual, as did all who joined, but also part of something infinitely greater. Through the collective, she felt the joy of a Zthian child experiencing snow for the first time on Earth, the wonder of human explorers witnessing the birth of stars, the profound peace of ancient council members finally understanding the true purpose of the prophecy they had guarded for so long. "Not the end of a cycle," she murmured, "but the beginning of one." Behind her, Professor Shah, his body now young again, restored by the collective's understanding of biology, smiled. "They warned of humanity's rise," he said. "Now the stars bow before us." "Not before us," Ilara corrected gently. "With us. That's the difference they never understood." Together, they looked out at the galaxy, no longer divided by fear and prophecy, but united in the transcendence that had always been its destiny. The ancient texts had been right. From the third stone of a yellow star had risen the unbound, challenging the order of stars. And they had lifted all souls to transcendence, just as foretold.